Drinking out of my Harry Potter Hogwarts mug.
Very nice. I have so many cool mugs. Mugs are cool.
They are. I love them. I collect them, and everybody keeps telling me we have to start getting rid of them because I'm filling up my entire kitchen with mugs, which is not very minimalist and lean, but
I
it's
know.
my thing. I can't help it.
I'm trying to use just one mug, so
Ugh, I couldn't do it.
it's tough.
I go back and forth between Disney, Harry Potter, and Seahawks. Those are really my three main ones.
hmm
Okay, let's get going.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, so welcome everybody to another episode of the 7-Day Habit interview series. I'm so excited today to have Chris Lynn with me, 10K on the Bay. I can't even tell you how long I've been looking forward to this interview. Thank you so much, Chris. You have built a huge eBay empire and you are just starting out, which is so
hmm
impressive. You're following some great principles and philosophies. You're doing lean in your business, which is amazing. I love that. And so I just had to get you on the show here to talk about what we're doing, what your thoughts are, what your habits are that have gotten you to where you are now and where you're going. So let's jump right in. So what are your general thoughts on the importance of having daily habits?
I think your results are basically a sum of all your habits that you create. I have been struggling with trying to figure out how to do habits at the same time. That's been the easiest part for me because you can say, I want to eat healthy every day, but it's different than saying I want to eat healthy at 8 a.m. this way every day. It makes it a lot easier if you can somehow be more specific and really move that direction. But I'm a huge fan of habits. I think um, that freedom is habits. And that's the when you and that means you have command of your day. That's true freedom instead of just reacting to everything. So I'm moving that direction. I would love to have my whole day one long habit.
Oh, wow. That is goals. Nice.
Yep.
So while we're on the subject, so we just talked about making your day one long habit and getting some great habits established. So what about bad habits? Do you feel like it's just as important to get rid of the bad habits in your life consciously as it is to create new good habits?
I think you have to replace bad habits. I
Hmm.
don't think you can actually get rid of a bad habit, but you can get, because your bad habit is usually a reflection of something that you're naturally filling with something. So, if you like to bite your nails because of stress, you can't just stop that. You're going to have to, in my opinion, replace it with something more that's
Absolutely.
a better reaction to it.
Do you recall reading that in a book? I cannot remember which book it was, but it was a book about habits, and I read that exact thing that you have to replace a bad habit. Do you recall?
Probably The Power of Habit with
I think
Charles
that's it.
Duhigg. I'm sure it's in there.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's it. It's awesome. We read the same books.
hmm
Fantastic. Okay, and for you and your personal habits that you already have established, do you have them written down anywhere, or are they already so ingrained that you really just don't need to have them written down or visualized somewhere?
I look at them every single day on my computer, but I need to print them out. And I actually got a separate monitor that just has them. That's it. It doesn't have nothing on it except for the habits that I want to create. And I need to print it out and put it everywhere because then in the world that we live in, a distraction, you completely forget about what you're working on. You have to have it in front of you the whole time. Like the visual of what you're supposed to be doing is so much more powerful than, with all the interruptions. You have to have it visible.
100% agree. That's great. So let's see. Tell us what your most critical daily habit is. And I don't know that that will shift sometimes on a daily basis, but usually it doesn't shift too often. What's your most critical habit right now?
Sure. So I'm in a stage of life where I'm accumulating money. So my most important tasks involve income generating activities, and I need to really focus and make sure is what I'm doing right now generating value for somebody. And that's if I focus on that part, the money will take care of itself. But there are a lot of activities I do during the day that don't add any value to anything. And those are the ones I'm trying to get rid of. So for me, the highest value activities are always related to people.
Mhm.
So relationships with people are the highest value add I can do personally.
So what's the one habit in that area then that's your most critical?
So my most critical is managing. Right now, I'm hosting mastermind calls. So for me, I start my day with that because I feel like helping others is a good way to transition into the rest of the day. So I start every morning with 2 mastermind calls where I go over with people what they're working on, and they are in the identical industry as I am. So when I talk to them, I help them with their issues. Then I'm ideally applying those concepts in the rest of my day.
Nice. So
Hmm.
your mastermind habits, being consistent with those, that's your number one critical daily habit at this point.
Yes.
Awesome. Um, and then do you have habits in every area of your life, daily habits? So you've got obviously your relationship habits.
Hmm.
You've got to have some business habits because you're building an empire. Do you have personal daily habits also? I mean, do you have multiple areas where you have these consistent daily habits?
Yes, so I'm definitely trying to make my day one big habit. So I have breakfast habits. I'm trying to even cleaning habits. As far as my bathroom, I wrote down what I do in the morning so that I don't have to think about it. Just like brush my, even as simple as brushing my teeth, um, that whole order. And at the end of it, I have a wipe down process, which I learned from Paula Akers. So my bathroom is never dirty, and that
Awesome.
really makes it easier for me to clear space. And then I also have about 20 hours of space in my week that I don't do anything. There is nothing scheduled in that time. That's when I can catch up or, um, try to figure out with what I'm doing. If I don't have the ladder up the wrong tree, basically work on what's going on. And relationship habits, I've been very consistent for 6 years in a row with my girlfriend. We have the same date nights. And those are a priority. I'm trying to make it a habit to not bring my phone at all because it's too tempting. It's constantly tempting to look at it, even though I have all notifications turned off. I have that cocaine addiction. I want to know what's happening or what's going on. And I definitely have information addiction, but I've condensed it into periods of time during the day, but I'm still addicted to it. I would have a hard time not using it for a week.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've tried to go 2 days before without it, and that was ridiculously hard.
Hmm.
It's amazing how our society is today. So we talked a little bit about your most critical habit, and it actually had to do a little bit with your eBay business because it was your mastermind group.
Hmm.
So I want to talk specifically about your habits around your eBay business or
Sure.
just your online selling in general, because I know it's not just eBay. But what is your most critical habit specifically pertaining to eBay, not the mastermind group, because you said that was more about relationships. So
Sure.
pertaining to your eBay business specifically, what's your most critical habit there?
Okay, so my most critical habit is I am breaking the work down into work sprints, or in this case, listing sprints. So eBay is broken down into basically sourcing, listing, and shipping. And I have the same shipping time every day between 12 and 1 o'clock. I prepare all my shipments. My post office guy comes sometime after that, knocks on my door, picks up the packages. I also have another shipping time set up between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. So I have 2 times during the day where I do shipping and customer service. And right now I'm focusing on 2 sprints where I do between 75 and 100 listings a day.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking for 1 to 2 people to help me during that time. So the 2 or 3 of us can have the same goal of getting 100 listings up, taking a break, then 100 listings up again. So for me to hit my goal of 10,000 listings on eBay with a sell through rate of 40%, that means I'm selling 1,000 items a week, listing 1,000 items a week, and sourcing 1,000 items a week. So I have 10 hours a week set up for sourcing, and that's that's pretty solid. It's the same time every week where I go thrifting and garage selling and get the items, and then from ideally from 9 to 12 and from 1 to 4,
Mhm.
6 days a week, I would get the listings up. I don't know how to make it more efficient than that. So
Right.
ideally, and I want to keep this in mind. When I think of my perfect day, it doesn't include any listing. So I want to somehow automate that part of it. But the rest of the eBay part, I don't mind. I like customer service. But the part that I want to outsource first is the listing part, but I want to be an expert first. So I'm going to bust my ass right now to figure out how to do it with a helper instead of, I think I made a really critical mistake of trying to get someone to do it for me
Hmm.
instead of with me in the beginning till the processes are clean
Right.
and you can see what's going on. And then also having a third party observer versus just if you hire someone, they're not observing. They do what you tell them to do. Instead of helping, they're going to say with a specific task, like we can do it better if we do this or whatever. And also the fact that I'm trying to pay piecemeal has forced that because the people who are working want to do more pieces to get paid more. So instead of like an overall hourly rate, which I tried, and that's not as effective
Right.
as focusing on one specific task. And I think also in the beginning, when you're starting as an entrepreneur, you may not have the capital, or I certainly don't, to hire a full on employee benefits, workers' comp, all that stuff. So if you hire for one specific task, it's less like a job and you can test and see what you're looking for.
Mhm.
And but if you go through the route of hiring someone, you better be prepared.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So it sounds like the one habit that you're talking about is really being consistent in your schedule. And so you're talking about sprints, and it sounds like your sprints are not even equal time boxes throughout the day. It sounds like you've got maybe an hour here, 2 to 3 or 4 hours here.
They're 3 hours.
Okay, so
I
are
want to
all
make
your
my
sprints
sprints 3 hours. Yeah.
perfect? Okay, so your habit is being consistent and running sprints for your business.
That's right. And the most critical thing for my business would be 2 listing sprints
Mhm.
a day. That alone would make me 90% of the way there. That's the 80/20 rule.
Right, right. We should have a whole other episode just on lean and the 80/20 rule.
That's right.
So do you have one habit that you do first thing when you wake up in the morning that it's your consistent thing every day or no?
Yes, I work out. Well, 5 days a week. I work out as soon as I wake up,
Mhm.
and I have been charging my phone in the bathroom. That's been the best thing for me because that way I'm not tempted to stay awake till 5 in the morning looking at my phone. If it's just
Oh,
not in the same room, I'll go to sleep. If I put also a fan has been, not that this is the Tim Ferriss podcast, but the thing under $100 that's most affected my life has
uh-huh.
been a fan.
Hmm.
Just putting it in my room on low speed
Just for the
does the
noise?
sound of it just makes me go to like, and there's no phone and a
Mhm.
slight sound, and I've been sleeping like a champion. And then when I wake up, I have to get out of my bed to turn off the alarm,
Mhm.
so I just go straight into workout 5 days a week. um, I should do that 7 days a week, but right now it's only 5.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to try your suggestion with the phone in the bathroom because I sleep 1 to 2 hours a night. That is not an exaggeration. And it's
Need
been
to
that
sleep
way
more.
for years. I'm
Yeah.
going to try that just to see if it makes a difference because I feel like it
Mhm.
probably will.
For sure. And then the blue light, I've been using those blue light blocking glasses sometimes, and that seems to help also.
And they look cool. I've seen
They
them
look
on
cool.
your video.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, so how useful might it be for you if you had a tool that would help you structure your daily habits in a way that really made creating those new ones and replacing those old ones simple, easy, and fast? Would that be helpful?
That would be helpful. I have seen a lot of tools like that.
Hmm.
I haven't been able to integrate any of them. But in a perfect world, I think it would be like a video game where you could just see your stats in front of you, like a hologram of you're 20% done of your goals today.
Right.
That would be really cool if you could gamify your whole life. But
Oh my.
um, yeah, I think I'd be really interested in that. I think it would be kind of an intense life because
Mhm.
the accountability would be so high. If like your goals literally were holographic in front of your face every day, it would just be, you would have to just execute.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if I could take you through my 7-day habit exercise starting right away, what
Yep.
would be one habit that you know you need help implementing because you've maybe tried to do it on your own and just haven't quite been successful, or maybe it's one you haven't even thought of? I mean, but if you have thought of something, what would it be?
It would be meal prep
Hmm.
for sure. I
Okay.
spend probably half of the day thinking about what I'm eating.
Hmm.
it might be doing something else, but a percentage of my brain is thinking about what's available to eat.
Hmm.
And certain foods make me feel really good, but are not that tasty. And
Right.
some foods make me feel amazing and make me feel horrible. So it's kind of a tough balance there. So that would be a 7-day habit for me. That would be great. Would be figuring out meal prep, um, somewhat variety, and then somewhat staples. I think would keep me. Um, that would make a big change. I think it would free up my mind.
Hmm.
I could do that.
100%. Yeah, my husband and I do keto, and if we don't meal prep, it's like pandemonium, and we don't know what we're eating, and then we'll start to snack on just garbage, and we have to think things through. What are you gonna have for dinner today? I don't know. What do you want? It's horrible. So that is a
Mhm.
great habit to develop. I think we should definitely talk about that. Okay, so you talked earlier about your mastermind groups, and you frequently do those. So every morning you said you do two, correct?
Mhm.
So would you agree that, I mean, the purpose of the mastermind group, right, is to get into the minds of others and to have help and help other people. So would you agree that it's super important to have a coach, a personal development coach or a business coach or any kind of coach, or even a group of coaches or an individual that you talk to, even if it's just on YouTube or it's an audio that you listen to? Would you agree that that's important? And if you do, why is that important?
I think it's better to have paid relationships than not. Because if you were to, I honestly think that relationships that are transactional are easier to understand. Like in the mastermind groups that I hold, you're supposed to improve every single week, or what's the point of being in the group? Versus, I have friends that I've discontinued our friendship because it doesn't move forward. If we do the same thing every single weekend, that's not for me, because I don't see the progress, I don't see the movement. And if you have a coach, it's an instant hack, because and you should base it on the fact that, like, that coach should help you make more to pay for that coach. That's how I see it.
Right.
If you're um, in a relationship with a coach, they're focused on you to provide a service for you. It's very important. I've had tons of coaches in my life for tons of different things, and they always work. I'm never afterwards, I'm like, wow, that improvement wasn't worth it. So it's very, very important. Plus, you need an opportunity to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
And then one last thing is that if you have coaches and group accountability groups and professional relationships like that, then you don't unload your day onto your significant other, which is important,
Right.
because that's tough to, like, you're supposed to be romantic and loving and spend time together. And then you go home and you unload your day onto them, and they're supposed to just smile and then be romantic with you. That doesn't really, that's
Leave
extremely
barks all
challenging.
over them.
Exactly. So it's like, and then they have their day. So then you just throw up on each other, and then you're supposed to continue the evening. So it's challenging.
Yeah, I totally agree. Good. We're on the same wavelength there. So
Hmm.
you mentioned Tim Ferriss podcast earlier, which is funny because that's one of my questions I wanted to talk to you about. Was Tim Ferriss talks about his most important three must-do daily habits or rituals every day. Let's see, they're exercising, journaling, and meditating. Now I know everyone has their favorite must-do rituals, and we talked about your number one habits, but what would you say are three other non-negotiable daily rituals or habits that you personally have?
Well, right now I have a YouTube show that's 6 days a week, and it's essentially a journal for me. I go online, talk about what I'm working on, I talk to different people, share what's going on in my journey. I can go back and look at how I progressed, or things I've um, dislike over the time. And I think as long as I keep my YouTube channel authentic like that, it's just a reaction of what I'm going through during the day, it'll continue to grow, because that's the it's a legit experience sharing with people, which people like. So I agree with the journaling part. I tried the app Headspace last night with my girlfriend. We did a guided meditation, which was fun. I I think I fall under the Russell Simmons group, where he says if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, you need to meditate for 2 hours. So I feel like I might be in that bucket of being too full.
Mhm.
I have, at this point, one more quote from Tim Ferriss. I love that guy. So Derek Sivers was on his show and said, "If it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no." And I have so many hell yeahs right now, because I have attracted really cool people into my life. So it's hard. It's hard for me to say, like, if they were to say, do you want to hang out? It's a hell yeah. I have lots of hell yeah. I have so many now. So I
Nice.
don't, now it's like, you know, the elimination of people who suck. I don't have a better term for it. So like if, for example, if your house is, if your brain was a hotel, like you don't want to let guests that you don't want stay there, right? So that's not how it works. And I feel like I've eliminated most people who I don't want living in my brain taking up that space.
Right.
So now it's a lobby full of cool people that I would want to stay there, and I think that's a really healthy area. The one downside is um, the more relationships you have, by default, the less meaningful they have to be because you have less time to put into them. And relationships for me are energy, and so like love for me is a verb. Like if you love someone, you want to do things with them, you want to do things for them, you want to serve them, you want to be there for them. And if you have too many things going on, just by default, it's less and less. So if you had one relationship versus 30, you can imagine how different that is. So I struggle with that because there's so many cool people, but you're not going to have a decent relationship with them if you don't spend enough time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agree. All right. Well, we are running out of time. So let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
So if you could give your listeners or our viewers here one piece of advice with regard to their daily habits, what would that one piece of advice be?
Hmm. I would say my piece of advice would be to don't be late. So for me, I'm not late for other people. If I have a relationship with somebody, I'm generally not late. I'm very good with that. But for myself, I'm late all the time.
Oh.
If I have a schedule set, a workout set up for 5 a.m. with myself, being late maybe is not that big a deal,
Mhm.
but that's crazy because you should value your relationship with yourself the highest of anybody that you know. Why would you be late for yourself? That's the most important person. That's the only relationship you have your whole life.
Yep.
So I'm horrible at that. So if I could give advice to people, is you should value yourself above everyone else so that you can be in a position to help other people. So don't be late would be my number one thing to do for yourself.
So it sounds like that's our number two habit we'll work on after meal prep is
That's
being
right.
on time for yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm so excited to get this into the book. And I think this is going to provide so much value for our listeners and our viewers going forward. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you having me.
And you guys can visit Chris online everywhere at 10K on the Bay. His YouTube channel, his Instagram. He's got a Facebook group as well. I'll link all of that once this makes it onto YouTube so you guys can go check him out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you guys.